Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top altcoin picks for this bull run. These are my 13 favorite altcoins for the 2024-25 bull run cycle. Obviously, I'm currently recording this at the end of November 2024, so we only have a little bit of 2024 left, but I'm starting or expecting these altcoins to really start to get moving over this next month into the end of 2024. And we probably have between 6 and 12 months of really explosive altcoin gains that we can capitalize on. And I personally think these are the best altcoins to be positioned in to capture the best of those moves. Now, where we currently are in the cycle at the end of November in 2024 is that we're seeing Bitcoin really push on. At the time of recording this, Bitcoin's around about $98,000. It's nearly at 100,000. And once Bitcoin has really started to rocket up and is approaching new all-time highs or on new all-time highs, but is approaching this $100,000 level as we speak. Altcoins, on the other hand, have really started to struggle. A lot of them are going sideways. A lot of them are still stuck in many cases well below their cycle highs right now. And this presents a fantastic opportunity for us to position ourselves into some of these altcoins in anticipation of altcoins outperforming in 2025. Now, if we look historically at the performance of altcoins versus Bitcoin in prior cycles, we will see that the majority of altcoins over the 4-year cycle tend to underperform Bitcoin. But there is one part of the cycle when altcoins outperform, and this part of the cycle is upon us. They usually start to get going the following year after the halving cycle, not within the year of the halving event. So I would be expecting a lot of these altcoins to see their best gains throughout next year. And these gains are probably going to all start around about now. Between now and probably January, most of these altcoins will make their way back to cycle highs, probably making new cycle highs and going to all-time highs if they've been around in the cycle previous. If not, they're probably going to make their new all-time highs within the next 2 months. So that's enough scene setting for now. That's enough of the background or the theory. All we want to get from this is that now is the right time for altcoins. It is the right time in the cycle to be positioning in. And that's why I'm sharing this video, hopefully at the perfect time to get into some of these altcoin picks. So I'm going to jump onto screen share and we are going to have a look through these altcoins on coin market cap. So as we can see, Bitcoin, there it is, 97,000 currently, Ethereum 3,300, Solana around $250. I'm just going to refresh this because I'm thinking to myself that prices might have updated since then. Okay, yes, Bitcoin, as I said, 98,000, Solana above 250. So look, I think, the market is looking strong. Make myself a little bit bigger here. The market is looking very strong, and I'm expecting after this push up in the majors that we will start to see rotation out of the majors and into some of these altcoin picks. And I'm just going to caveat these picks, okay, because I've already spoke about building a portfolio. I've said that to build a portfolio, you should be having things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana as staples within that portfolio. I've also mentioned Pepe should be in there. But I then said, with some of that portfolio, you want to be positioning into altcoins. And probably you want to divide this between an allocation into meme coins and an allocation into altcoins. Now, if you haven't seen that portfolio video, go and watch it. It's on my channel. The meme coin picks, I've shared high conviction meme coin picks. I've shared low market cap Ethereum picks. I've shared low market cap Solana picks. So watch those videos to get an idea of which meme coins you should be positioning into. But when it comes to the altcoins, this is the first time I'm doing a video where I'm reviewing altcoins and specifically giving you altcoin picks. So if you wanted to, you could go all into the majors and all into the meme coins. These are definitely the assets within this cycle that have performed the best up until now. So I think that's a very sensible strategy. However, if you had a slightly higher risk tolerance, or if you wanted to find a little bit more added beta to the rest of this crypto cycle and try and outperform some of these majors, it's probably not a bad time to position into altcoins and potentially position a little bit more heavily into altcoins. I mean, the portfolio we can tweak with. If you wanted, for example, to put 20% into Bitcoin, 20% into ETH, 20% Solana, I think that's a great sort of staple for a portfolio, especially at this part of the cycle. Like I say, about a year ago, I would have said you want 80% of your money into Bitcoin. Today, it's down to 20% because of where we are. Now, if, for example, you wanted to take a little bit more risk, if you're maybe a bit younger, if you're maybe a bit more adventurous on the risk scale, then you could potentially look to put either 10 or 15% into Bitcoin, similar into Ethereum, similar into Solana, and probably put more of a weighting into meme coins and or altcoins. So that's just a little bit of advice in terms of, sort of bearing in mind how to structure your portfolio. Obviously, none of this is direct financial advice. Please do your own research, make your own financial decisions. I'm purely sharing what I'm investing in and also this information and reviewing these assets for informational purposes. This is all for entertainment purposes. So with that out of the way, let's get into the altcoins, and we're actually going to start, we're going to go through these by market cap, but we're going to start with number 12 by market cap, which is Avalanche. So Avalanche, currently $38. We can see if we look at the history of Avalanche, you will see that the price has been as high as $134. This is back at the top of the last bull market. So like we say, the crypto market moves in a 4-year cycle. 4 years on from November 2021 takes us to November 2025. I'm expecting a lot of these altcoins to go on really strong runs up until the later stages of next year, potentially similar kind of time frame around about November time. So we have plenty of time for these altcoins to put in some really strong gains. As we see, the market cap of Avalanche is 15.5 billion. And it has a fully diluted valuation of 17 billion. I quite like this because what it says is that 90% of Avalanche tokens are now on the market in circulation. So from a tokenomics perspective, this is fairly good, okay? Because we don't want to see a huge amount of tokens left locked up that are waiting for early investors to then dump on us. We want to be in tokens where the majority of tokens are out there and are being held by hodlers. One thing you do have to bear in mind with Avalanche, it has been around last cycle. So potentially there's going to be some bag holders, especially above these highs here, coming up to the $100 range that might be looking to get out from investments that they bought 4 years ago, potentially if they got into the market above $100. So whilst I think Avalanche is probably going to do very well, it might not give the most crazy multiples, but a bit about Avalanche as a project, it is really hot on gaming. It's basically a gaming play. Avalanche has a very strong gaming ecosystem. They have something called subnets. So this means that if you have an isolated game, they can have their own isolated blockchain. They can have their own isolated subnet, which helps keep the network extremely fast, which is obviously very important for a game where the transactions need to be very, very quick. So Avalanche is one I really like. Within Avalanche, you have different gaming projects such as Beam. You've got playable games. You've got, I can't remember off the top of my head some of the names of other games, but I think Shrapnel might be one that's on Avalanche. Oh God, what else? There's multiple games. This is one that Alex Becker loves to talk about a lot as well. And he has massive following, especially in the bull run. He can get tens of millions of views, and a lot of retail, I think, will be wanting to jump into Avalanche as a project. So I like Avalanche here. It's widely available. It's on all top exchanges, your Binance, your Coinbase. They're the important ones, Bybit. So yeah, I really like Avalanche as a play. And I think, look, from here, I could easily see Avalanche getting back to new all-time highs. Potentially, it could go up to $200, $250. I wouldn't be too surprised. I think it's probably a good, solid sort of 5 to 8x return from here. So Avalanche is one that I like, and it tends to follow Solana as well. We've seen Solana push up to its all-time highs. I expect Avalanche over the next few months to do exactly the same thing, getting up to 125, and then probably pushing on a little bit higher. Like I say, 250, I think would probably be the upper end of my expectations for Avalanche. So that's the first pick. The second pick is Sui or Sui. I called it Sui. Some people call it Sui. But for me, Sui is, or Sui is a market cap of 10 billion. So a little bit less than Avalanche, but we have a fully diluted valuation of 35 billion. So Avalanche is only 17. So Sui is actually double the value of Avalanche. The reason why it's a lower market cap is because only 28% of the supply are currently on the market. So this is something to bear in mind. This makes Sui have less favorable tokenomics compared with Avalanche. However, what you have to bear in mind is that this is Sui's first full bull run. So Sui does not have any bag holders. It's literally already at price discovery. And also, a lot of the unlocked tokens are going to stay locked for a very long time. I believe Sui's unlock schedule is under 1% a month right now. So I think Sui definitely has potential to run because it doesn't need the buying power for the fully diluted valuation. It only needs buying power to be able to lift up the market cap. And like I say, there's less than a third of tokens that are currently on the market. So actually in a bull market, when there's lots of buyers coming in, new money flowing in to the markets, things with a high fully diluted valuation are going to do better than they would do if they were in a bear market because a lot of these tokens will remain locked up. So actually having this high FDV is not as much of an issue in a bull run as it would otherwise be, especially when we go into this sort of final year of the bull run when altcoins are really starting to perform. So Sui is on the move language. This is gaining a lot of popularity. It was former Facebook devs, DM devs that joined the Sui project. Many of these split up between Aptos and Sui, and Sui has been outperforming Aptos and really positioning itself or trying to position itself as the next Solana. There's meme coins appearing on Sui. I haven't got into them directly myself, but I know a lot of people are. And it does feel like Sui is doing things or everything it can to really become the next consensus layer one, become the next Solana, potentially the Solana killer. So I don't know about that, but I think given the hype, given the attention, given the adoption, Sui is definitely one to hold this bull market cycle. So the next on the list is Chainlink. Now, Chainlink has been around for some time. What Chainlink does is extremely important when it comes to the crypto ecosystem because Chainlink runs oracles, and these oracles connect between the blockchain and real life. So Chainlink is very widely used, very widely adopted. And obviously, the Link token is the token of the Chainlink project. And we saw an absolutely insane run up back in 2021, early 2021, so not late 2021. So I personally was thinking that Chainlink could be an early mover this cycle as well. However, it hasn't really yet happened for Chainlink. That being said, I do think that Chainlink has a very good potential to get back to its all-time highs, which would be around about $50. So I think from here, look, when you've got things like Bitcoin, Ethereum that might do a 2x, might do a 3x, obviously you've got something like Chainlink that could perform a higher multiple, looking at maybe a 3.5, 4x. And for me, it's just a low risk play. This is a large cap, well-established cryptocurrency. I don't think it's going to necessarily outperform things like SUI that are brand new. The new shiny object syndrome certainly holds some weight in the crypto space, but Chainlink are driving adoption, and they are one of the most integral projects in the crypto ecosystem. I can really see Chainlink doing well, and I do think it could take out $50. It might run to 75, 80, potentially even $100. Something like Chainlink could definitely do that. It has the potential to do that. So Chainlink is definitely on my list to hold this bull run. So the next one is Near. So Near is a protocol that has really started to get some good traction over the last few months. As you can see, with all of these coins, they are fairly well off their bear market lows. And with something like Near, it's been going through this consolidation, very similar to what Bitcoin did, where it had its run up and then it's spent a lot of time chopping and going sideways and going down a bit. And I, at some point, expect Near to do similar to what Bitcoin did, break out from this consolidation, smash through $10, and run up fairly quickly to its all-time highs around about $20, which from an entry of, say, for example, $5 would be a very nice 4x, obviously, to get started with. And I think from there, it could run on to new all-time highs. I mean, Near over the last year has really started to position itself as more of an AI coin. So it plays into the AI narrative. Plays into obviously the L1 narrative, plays into the competitor to other L1 blockchains such as Solana, SUI, Ethereum. So I think Near has a lot of potential. I think it will get a lot of traction and a lot of attention this cycle due to being that AI narrative play. And I mean, from what we've looked at so far, obviously the market cap is 6.7 billion, and it is virtually all out on the market. There is very little discrepancy between the FDV and the market cap, meaning that there is no further dumping of tokens, of locked tokens onto the free market, which is going to hamper price. So I do think should Near make its way back to $20, it could run on to 30, 40, $50. I wouldn't be surprised if Near pulls a 10x from here. So as we go down these market caps, we can see the picks start to get a little bit more risky, but also the upside really starts to increase. So yes, I like Near, and it's definitely one of my bull market holds. So we've just spoke about Sui a couple of picks ago, and this is Aptos. So the other half of the Facebook blockchain team, they went on to Aptos. So there was a split between Sui and split between Aptos. Aptos is the alternative to Sui, and Aptos is also on the move language. And from what I hear, the technology being used for Aptos is very, very good. If we just look at the market cap of Aptos, we've currently got a market cap of 6.3 million and an FDV of 13. If we go back to SUI, then we will see its market cap is 10 and the FDV is 35. So there's actually a fairly big, oh, I'm sharing a pic too soon there, a fairly big discrepancy between the valuation of these two projects and also the market cap. Aptos is currently valued smaller than SUI is. So I do think there's an opportunity here for Aptos to be a bit of a catch-up play. And certainly SUI seems to have all the marketing, the hype, the attention, but there's no reason why Aptos cannot follow in SUI's footsteps and put similar things in place. It can add meme coins as a narrative. It can start to add more protocols, more DeFi projects. It can start to market itself further, and it can start to get more attention, and it can start to gain on the market cap of SUI. So I really think that Aptos is going to do well this cycle. If we just look back at the history, we can see it's in its first proper bull market. It wasn't around, it got launched back in 2022, so it wasn't around in the last one in 2021. And I just think to myself, once Aptos breaks above these all-time highs at $18, it'll really be off to the races. And look, I can see Aptos quite comfortably doing sort of a 3 to 4x from here, maybe getting up to $70 or $80 would be something fairly reasonable, fairly straightforward for a currency such as Aptos. Could it get to $100? Who knows? Potentially anything can happen. I mean, a 10x here on the market cap would take it to 60 billion, fully diluted valuation of about 130 billion. Just to give some perspective, I think XRP's currently fully diluted valuation is around that level, and we're not even in the full flowing bull run yet. So I really think that there is every opportunity, every chance that Aptos can perform well and pull a really nice multiple for the rest of this bull run. Right, here we go. So Casper, so the pick that I already just briefly shared, Casper is a proof of work blockchain. It is an L1, and I tell you what, I really like what Casper's doing. Casper, like I say, is its own chain. It's recently decided to put meme coins on the chain. It's got its own sort of proof token, which is a KRC20 token. So I think Casper is something that is a little bit under the radar right now. I would say that Casper had a really impressive run up during the early stages of this bull run. It made its way into its current price range all the way back in February of this year. And since then, it's just been going sideways. It's been consolidating. It's tried to break out. It's come back down. It's held support. And this just looks like reaccumulation to me before Casper really goes into an expansive markup phase. And I do think Casper from here can make its way up probably to $1. So looking at probably similar returns to Aptos that I think Casper can do. Like I say, market cap is 3.7 billion, fully diluted 3.7. So obviously, difference with this is that because the token's not yet mined, the fully diluted valuation is, of course, going to equal the market cap. Every token that gets mined goes out onto the free market. We can see the total supply here of 25 million tokens, max supply of 28. So there's only about sort of 3.5, is that million or billion? Billion, billion tokens. So 25 billion tokens, max supply of 28 billion. So there's about 3.5 billion tokens left to be mined. And for me, that is fairly low inflation. So I'm expecting Casper to do very well. The interesting thing about Casper is it does not yet have any top tier, tier one exchange listings. When I say top tier, I'm referring to Coinbase or Binance. So potentially a Coinbase or a Binance listing for Casper could really set the Casper market on fire, and we could see this price going completely nuclear. I do think Casper has a good chance to reach $1. So for me, it's definitely worth holding as an altcoin pick for this cycle. So the next coin is Optimism. So Optimism is an Ethereum scaling solution. Optimism is an Ethereum layer 2. And what this means is that you can connect to the Optimism network and you can transact on Optimism for a fraction of the value that it would cost you to make the transactions on Ethereum. So chains like Optimism really save the user a lot of money in gas fees. And it's also extremely quick and extremely scalable. And in fact, the base network, so Coinbase's own blockchain, is built on the Optimism stack. So I believe that Optimism get fees from Base, and I would expect that as Coinbase and their blockchain grows in popularity throughout the rest of this bull run, as more retail get adopted and more retail go on chain, and of course, Coinbase is the perfect onboarding app for retail to go on chain, they will use Base Chain. So I expect the fees that Optimism receive from Base Chain to really grow exponentially over the rest of this cycle. The valuation is 9 billion and the market cap is 2.6 billion. So we can see there's little under a third of the supply currently on the free market. And this does mean that there will be more tokens coming onto the market. However, I do still expect Optimism to perform. As you can see right now, we're just above the $2 mark. The all-time high is 469. So we are about halfway below the all-time high. This is a 50% discount really on where Optimism has been earlier this year. So I do expect Optimism to catch up. I do expect it to take out these all-time highs over the next few months. It likely runs with Ethereum, and for this reason, I expect Optimism to be a top performer this cycle. I think a price of potentially $20 or even $25, $30 would not be out the question for Optimism. Obviously, that would be about a 10x gain from this level. That would put the market cap at around about 26 billion. I think for one of the top blockchains, the top L2 networks in the space, Optimism is definitely capable of getting that sort of market cap. And of course, what we've said holds true about the FDV. Obviously, in a bull run, it's less of a hindrance because there's more and more people coming into the market. They can absorb those unlocks. They can absorb any future airdrops in this token. And of course, people want to, hold those tokens as well. Don't forget, there's more hodlers because prices are going up. People are less likely to sell. They want to hold for higher prices. So I do think at some point Optimism will really run. And definitely for me, it's one to hold for this bull run. Right, the next token is Immutable or Immutable X, as it used to be known as. So Immutable is a gaming blockchain, and it's really sort of got popularity over the last few years. We've seen, obviously, the price exploded when it first came out. It was launched towards the back end of the last bull run when the gaming narrative was on complete fire. And obviously, during that time, it managed to make a price of $9.31. It's currently well below that. It's also well below its current cycle highs. So I just think that at these prices, Immutable is extremely undervalued. And if we see a resurgence in the gaming narrative, which I'm sure at some point over the next year we will, I fully expect Immutable to be a big benefactor of that and do extremely well. And I would not be surprised to see and Mutable make new all-time highs by the end of this year. That would take it to around about $13 if it did a 10x. And obviously the all-time highs, like we said, are around about nine, well, just under $10, shall we say. So I think Immutable could get back there. Like I say, from here to there is around about sort of an 8x, 8.5x. So could it get to $10? I think it's a pretty realistic target for Immutable. Like I say, this is another coin similar to Avalanche that Alex Becker likes to talk about. It's on the top tier exchanges. I'm sure if we get another gaming season, gaming spell, all we need is one or two big games to drop and capture some retail excitement and get a bit of retail FOMO. And this could really, really send straight back to where it has been during the peak of the last bull run. So I like Immutable. I think they're doing some great things. They're definitely a legit project and one of the better gaming projects to have exposure to. Okay, so the next pick on this list is Phantom. So Phantom is a cryptocurrency that I know very, very well. I've been a holder of Phantom since the last bull run, since the end of the last bull run, should I say. And since then, we've seen Phantom. Where are we? Since then, we've seen Phantom. I mean, the last bull run it went on an absolutely explosive move, all the way up to around about $3, and since come off back down all the way down to under 20 cents. I think 16, 15, 16 cents was the low. And now we're seeing Phantom start to recover. And I think Phantom is actually one of the better looking charts, especially over the last year. If we just look at what Phantom's done, obviously it has kind of traded in this range between around about 30 cents and up to around about $1. Right now, it's closer to the high than it is to the low. So it's looking fairly strong when it comes to altcoins. And of course, as you will read here, Phantom will soon migrate to Sonic. So they're going to be going through migration soon. Andre Cronje, who's the lead developer of Phantom, is really a genius within the space. And I'm sure that Sonic is going to be one of the quickest tokens, blockchains out there in the market. And this is likely to drive a lot of hype, a lot of FOMO, I think, will come into Phantom around this rebrand. And I could easily see Phantom going up above $1. I think that Sonic will probably be a big success, certainly with it being a new shiny thing and being a complete rebrand away from Phantom. I do think a lot of people will get very optimistic about this token. And look, I mean, where are we right now? We're looking at around about what, about 5x to get back to $3 from current prices. I think to myself, probably from here, can we move on a bit higher? Can we maybe sort of go double the past cycle's all-time high? Can we get to maybe $6.5, $7? That would be a 10x on Phantom. I do think it's fully possible, especially with the migration to the Sonic token, that we see a 10x from here, especially if there are some strong DeFi narratives around the Sonic token, as there have been for Phantom. It was a very, very popular DeFi chain. That's one of the reasons I first got into Phantom, was due to its strong DeFi offering. And Andre Cronje is a very smart guy. He has a lot to offer. He has a cult of followers, community around him and his tokens. And without a doubt, they will get fully behind the Sonic token after the migration. And I think this could really do well. I think a 10x from Phantom here is probably fairly feasible to happen this bull run. So I like it. I'm holding it. I'll hold it through the migration, and then we will see where it goes from there. Right, next pick is Say. So Say is another layer one blockchain. It is meant to be extremely quick, very fast. It was launched around a similar sort of time to Aptos and Sui, and Many people have drawn comparisons between this and SUI. Obviously, it was back in 2023, mid 2023, so it's fairly new. And to be honest with you, with never having a bull run before and being sort of well below its all-time highs of the dollar mark, I can see, say, really catching up at some point and making its way up to $1 and potentially going a lot higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see, say, at $4, $5. I think a 10x from here is definitely possible. If we look at the market cap, like we were saying with optimism, I think for an L2 solution on Ethereum to be in the 20s of billions is fairly reasonable. I would have thought similar for a layer one, such as say, that gets a lot of attention, a lot of hype. It's obviously going to be talked about a lot. It's on its first bull run. I think there will be enough there to drive, say, to a similar valuation. Obviously, we've touched upon the fact that it has a fairly high FTV compared to market cap, sitting currently at 42% market cap to FTV. So, look, I mean, there's going to be unlocks. There's going to be some tokens coming onto the market. But like I say, I do think the market will absorb these. And I really think Say should have a good run. I can definitely see a 10x on the cards from here for Say. Okay, so three picks to go. And the next pick on the list is Thorchain. So Thorchain is a token that has been around for some time. It is a sort of cross-chain protocol DeFi application. You're able to get rewards for staking native Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, is on there too. But Thorchain is one that I really like. I've seen in the past some of the yields have been absolutely crazy, especially when prices really start to take off. And look, I just think the guy that is behind this project is extremely clever, very successful. It tends to be one of those tokens that really outperforms during a bull run. So the last bull run, we went up to $20. We're currently just above $5 for Thorchain. And this should really be a play on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on the rest of the market. If the rest of the market does well, I expect Thorchain to outperform by a factor of two or three. So look, I think to myself, can we get back to previous all-time highs? That would be a 4x. Yes, we probably can. I do think if we got back there, we would likely go a bit higher. Obviously, there's going to be some bag holders, but I think get above $10, we should be well on our way back to all-time highs. And from there, who knows? Could we see something like $50? Could we get the 10x on this one? Very well likely, in my opinion. So I do like Thorchain here. I think it's extremely low, still 75% down from its all-time high. It's definitely a hold for me. So the penultimate pick on the list is Arweave. So Arweave or AR is one of the picks that I really like. It has gone from being more of a storage solution blockchain to now more of an AI supercomputer. And Arweave really announced this and went through a massive, massive pump all the way from $8. We got all the way up to over $40. So there was a 5x earlier on in the market at the start of this year. From there, things have really, really come back down and have got to really attractive prices. And I think a buy-in here from 1750 for Arweave is really good. I think this is a much, much stronger project than it was in the last bull run. And for that reason, I do think that Arweave will take out these previous all-time highs. I do think that Arweave can probably run to around about $90, maybe $100. That would be a solid 5 to 6x from here. If we get to those levels, who knows? We could push on. Another thing I like about Arweave is the fact that it is all out on the market. The market cap is matching the fully diluted valuation. So there are no more of these Arweave tokens to be dumped on the market or dropped on the market. And I do think Arweave will do very well this cycle. Like I say, I would be surprised if Arweave can't get above $100. And the final altcoin on this list, and it is another gaming project. It is Beam. So Beam currently has a market cap of just over 1 billion. And like I say, Beam is linked to the AVAX network, and it is a gaming infrastructure play. So if you think, similar to me, that at some point over the next year, Beam will go on a run, this is probably a token you want to take a closer look at. The all-time high is coming in at around about 4 cents 20, and right now it's about half of that. So you can get Beam at a 50% discount from its current all-time high, which happens to be its current cycle high. And there's absolutely no way that if we get another gaming season that I do not see Beam moving above this cycle high and potentially making its way to 10 cents, maybe to 20 cents. That would be a solid 5 to 10x from the current prices. And look, with this being an infrastructure play, there's less risk of Beam flopping with it being a game. With a game, games all have a shelf life. What's hot 1 week or 1 month will go out of favor the next month. And if a game doesn't take off and doesn't get traction, then it is likely you will lose money investing into a game project. However, more of a gaming infrastructure project like Beam, you're spreading the risk because you're spreading it over multiple games. You're buying the infrastructure, you're buying the picks and shovels, so to speak. So this is a project that I really think will do well. And this is why it makes my top altcoin picks. So just to recap, let's go back to the top. And just to recap what we've covered today, we've talked about my top altcoin picks for the bull run. All of these altcoin picks, let's see if we got Beam on here. Yeah, Beam's at number 93. All of these altcoin picks are on the top 100. When you go out of the top 100, it starts to get extremely risky. We want to be, in the majority of situations, backing the winners. These are the winners. These are the large caps. These are the projects with big capital behind them. This is what we're looking for when we're looking for a pick to hold throughout the whole entirety of the bull market, the whole banana zone. We want the stuff that will almost move without any doubt, is almost guaranteed to perform well. So in a way, even though these are altcoins, these are fairly safe picks. At some point, I will come out with some more degen picks, some more low caps, some gems that I think could perform well. And many of these will be around AI. Obviously, I've already shared memecoin low caps. So if memecoins take your fancy, then please check those videos out. But like I say, I will come out with some non-altcoin low cap picks or non-meme coin low cap altcoin picks very shortly. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And I'm going to leave it there. Have a great day. Hope you've enjoyed this. Loved talking to you as always, and talk to you all again soon.